Today, the Secretary of Economy, Lucia Cecilia Concha, released a statement talking about the economy of the United States of America in this difficult time.
Good afternoon. I speak to you today regarding to the politics and economics of the United States and of the world. And it is commonly known in the uncertain years immediately after the Second War that the U.S. political leaders created a trade, financial, consumption-led economic framework. Its purpose was to create more jobs and to impulse the economic of the U.S. Cold War allies. The strategy succeeds. The goal of the United States was to redevelop the economic destroyed by the war and to keep workers in those countries from being attracted to the promise of communism. As an example of this is the Marshall Plan. It can be taken as a second example, Truman Doctrine, which was designed in 1947 to provide political, military, and economic assistance to all democratic nations under threat from external or internal authoritarian forces. Following Truman's path, Eisenhower established in 1957 a doctrine promising military or economic assistance to any Middle Eastern country needing to help in resisting communist aggression. The United States is a capitalism country. We strongly believe in our country's economic system, and we are convinced that the competition involved in capitalism will benefit society as a whole. Unfortunately, this belief contrasts with the Soviet Union's point of view, which defines a healthy society as the one that does not compete, as well as the one where the rich will always end up taking advantage of the poor. From 1947 to 1950, the annual military spending of our country never exceeded $60 billion. After 1952, it never fell below $143 billion, and it was usually sustained higher. Eisenhower's administration focused on massive nuclear revenge by using long-range bombers and intercontinental ballistic missiles, or IBMs. And a year later, Kennedy's administration had flexible nuclear response. In our country, the national product was divided in three: government military purchases, all government non-military purchases, and all private purchases, whether it was consumption or investment. Nikita Khrushchev, the Prime Minister of the Soviet Union, claims that the economy, science, culture, and the creative genius of people in all areas of life developed better and faster under communism. On the other hand, John F. Kennedy, the American president, said, "Everything we do owe to be tied into getting onto the moon ahead of the Russians. We hope to beat the USSR to demonstrate that instead of being behind by a couple of years, by God, we pace them."
Good afternoon, my fellow citizens. I speak to you after the events of the past few weeks. As you all know, 2 weeks ago, while doing some routine checks in Cuba, we discovered medium-range and intermediate-range ballistic missiles ready to be fired at us. These missiles had been smuggled and placed during the past few months by the Soviet Union. And while they had claimed that these were merely for the purpose of helping Cuba build its military force, we knew that this wasn't true. Taking into consideration the growing tension between our two nations, we assumed that this action was an act of war. These acts had not only been immoral because of the danger they posed, but they had also put the United States of America in an unbalanced situation where, if we didn't act quickly, we could have endangered the life of millions of Americans. We understand that the United States might have committed some actions that, because of context, could have been considered hostile. But let me assure you, we have only done this because the existence of communism is a threat to the very foundations of our society. The Western world is characterized by its democratic government where people can freely choose who governs them and how. A war, like the one Soviets wanted to cause, would have brought death and horror upon us. Khrushchev, this is a call for you to stop these acts of terror. We Americans invite you to adopt our peaceful ways of life. I promise you that we will always have your best interests in mind. Thank you.